research is clear. If you pump up the fruits and vegetables in your diet and keep the animal products to a minimum, you're more likely to be healthier than those who don't. But what about taking your diet a step further and going vegan or vegetarian? To help us answer this question is registered dietitian Anya Todd, who happens to follow the vegan diet and also has a master's degree in sustainable food systems. Welcome to the program, Anya.
Thanks, Karen.
So some of our viewers may not know the difference between following a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet. Can you distinguish the two for us?
Sure. A vegan would be someone who abstains from all animal products. So no meat, no dairy, no eggs. And then with a vegetarian, there are some variations. So you might find a vegetarian who eats milk and dairy and those products but avoids eggs, but they're still avoiding meat as well. So it's basically the vegetarian, no meat, and then the vegan is no animal products whatsoever.
So how did you get into this diet?
I actually went vegetarian in middle school, so that was in the late 80s, and I went vegetarian because I made the connection with the cat as our pet, right, and then the animals on our plate. So it at first was an ethical reasoning, but through the years and in college, I made the connections more with the health and the environmental aspects as well, and that's when I made the leap to being a vegan. So it's been almost 20 years now being vegan.
So how did your parents take that? You're in middle school. Were you able to even find anything to eat? Were they vegan or vegetarian?
They were not, and I was in rural Ohio and
farm country.
Yeah, it was not easy. I think there was one veggie burger option back in those days, and I learned to cook a lot for myself. And my parents were actually very supportive. My pediatrician was too, so I think that was a good point. And I love to cook, and so thankfully that was on my side. I had a really supportive family.
And you counsel a lot of people who are trying to get into this type of diet. What are some of the health benefits?
Right. We're seeing a lot of people looking to go more plant-based because of the fact that research shows those who do decrease their animal intake have lower risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and not only that, but then those individuals who are already facing those diseases, we've seen spectacular results in terms of patients coming off of medications when adopting a vegan or a vegetarian diet.
And sometimes it's a last resort. They've had the heart attack. This is like they've tried everything else, and they're like, okay, I got to go for this.
You're exactly right.
Speaking of that, what would be the first step you would suggest for someone who's saying, I think I might want to be vegetarian, might want to be vegan? What would be the first thing you should do?
Right. I would encourage a person to really look at what they're eating already. People would be surprised to see that some of their staples are already vegetarian meals, or vegan meals for that matter. You know, pasta, sauce, beans and grains, and those sorts of foods. And I always encourage patients to really not be too hard on themselves. You know, it's okay to not make this change overnight. Most people can't just, you know, wake up one morning and say, okay, I'm going to be vegan. So be kind with yourself, and you know that it can sometimes take some time to make those changes. And additionally, I would say don't be afraid to experiment. There's tons of amazing vegan products out in the markets now, and it just takes some experimenting and seeing what best suits your tastes.
Well, let's talk about a few of those products we have here. And I would call some of these maybe transitional foods because they imitate an animal product.
Right.
This one I thought was very interesting, called Beyond Meat, and it looks like a bloody burger.
Yes, they're definitely you know, going for those individuals who want that burger taste, but without, you know, it being animal protein. So the Beyond Burger is a pea protein based product. So it's going to be, again, packed full of the protein without the cholesterol and the saturated fat. It's soy-free and gluten-free as well. So for those individuals who are mindful of that, it's a nice option.
And the Gardein, we're seeing this has really become popular. What is this?
Gardein is a soy and wheat gluten product, and you're right, it's being used in restaurants as well as, you know, in the marketplace. everything from meatballs to chicken fillets to fish fillets. They've got the variety covered for sure. And again, as you said, it's a great transition product for those people looking to decrease their animal intake.
And we have the corn. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, exactly. Corn is a product that it's not vegan yet. They still use a little bit of egg or milk, but they are transitioning to more vegan products. And again, they have a nice variety that you can find in most grocery stores.
And we have our tofu. I brought that up because sometimes people ask about, am I getting enough protein?
Right, right. And tofu is a great way to get protein in. Protein is never an issue, typically not an issue for anybody, eating beans, grains, nuts, seeds. Those are all ways that you can get protein on a vegan diet. And tofu is one of those. And I feel like a lot of people are a little scared by tofu, but again, it's one of those foods that just a little bit of experimentation, finding out what you like, throwing it in a stir fry, putting it in the oven, marinating and baking it. It's quite a variety of ways to have it.
It's really all about the marinade. I feel like if you're having chicken, or if you're having tofu, it's the marinade that's making the flavor. If we ate either of those without it.
Yeah, it's pretty bland without.
So walk me through a day. So someone's out there watching, I'm not sure if I could do this. Tell me what you would eat in a given day as vegan.
Sure. A typical day for me might be breakfast. I enjoy a good tofu scramble, so it's almost like an omelet type of meal using something like an extra firm tofu. I throw in a bunch of veggies, some turmeric, which is a great spice. So that gets the day off going. You've got some protein, you've got some vegetables, maybe some whole grain toast on the side if you want. Lunch could easily be a hummus wrap filled with a bunch of roasted vegetables, some fruit, maybe something crunchy to just give it that type of taste. Dinner is often, I'm a big fan of one-pot meals, so curries, stews. Really, my basis is encouraging folks to have beans, greens, and grains. If you can kind of use that as your mantra when you're meal planning, you're going to typically get all the nutrients that you need.
Now, speaking of meal planning, is that essential when going into this diet? Because sometimes you're out in public, especially if you're new, you don't know where to go for lunch.
Right. Being mindful when you are eating out is important. I encourage folks to plan their meals regardless of what diet they're following, just because, again, it can get you out of those traps of, it's 5 o'clock after work and I have nothing in the fridge, and then you make bad choices, right?
Yes.
So meal planning is, I think, essential in any diet, but especially when eating out. So many restaurants are now veg-friendly. So you can really plan ahead of time. And I found a lot of chefs are up for the challenge and are willing to accommodate those folks who are looking to go vegetarian or vegan.
So say one of our viewers is watching right now, they are not sure how to get this started. What resources are there in the local area to connect with people who might be able to give them recipes or tips?
Right. There's Cleveland and the Akron area both have veggie groups, meetup groups. So you can go online and look up those meetup groups. In the Cleveland area, there's the Cleveland Animal Rights Alliance, known as CARA, and they have monthly meetings where there's potlucks, and they might have a guest speaker or show a movie. Online, there's tons of resources as well. We just came off, actually, the last weekend was Veg Fest in Cleveland, and I think that's an awesome opportunity for local folks if they are interested in the veg lifestyle.
Explain a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so it's a one-day vegan extravaganza. You have nationally renowned speakers, you have local food vendors, you have clothing, all sorts of amazing vendors who are, again, catering more to that vegetarian vegan lifestyle. And it's just a great way to be around like-minded folks. I think when people are transitioning to a different diet, vegetarian, vegan, it's nice to have that camaraderie. So finding that is really important for long-term success.
Now, from your background in the sustainable food systems, if we all decided we're going vegan, is it possible to feed everybody in the U.S., do you think?
That's an interesting question, and I that's posed a lot. And my response to that is always, do you think we can honestly continue on the path that we've created in society and globally as well? You know, we have more countries around the globe hopping on to the Western diet where, you know, it's very meat-centric. And unfortunately, this has detriment to our planet. You know, 14% of global greenhouse emissions come from animal agriculture. Animal agriculture accounts for 70% of the land that we use in agriculture itself. So it's a huge taxation of resources, you know, that comes with water pollution, deforestation, biodiversity loss. So in reality, I don't know that we, you know, for the sake of our planet and for life itself on the planet, can we really continue on this path? And I think we need to incorporate change at whatever you know, level it takes. And diet is surely one of those ways that we can make that change.
Healthy for us and healthy for Mother Nature.
Exactly.
How can people reach you if they would like some more information or want to work with you?
Sure, yeah. Reaching out on my website is going to be the best place. And again, that's www.anyatodd.com. And you can see some of the articles that I've published on there and you know, various links to some of the websites that I write for.
Are you on social media as well?
I am. I'm on Facebook. I don't do as much Twitter as I like, but you can find me on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anya.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it.
Sure.
We'll be right back with more Mind, Body, and Spirit.